Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show 118, and I'm pumped you're here today because today we have an exclusive announcement. Big changes are always happening in this industry lately. It's been awesome to see just all the growth and development. This episode talks about breaking news, something that just happened, just went through the wire, and we're announcing it right here with an exclusive interview with two former guests of the podcast. We've got Mark Vlaskamp of the Folde, and we've got Alex Smereczniak from Laundrolab here today on the podcast together. And we're going to talk a little bit about development since they've been on the podcast, but then we're going to get into some big changes in their businesses and big changes in the industry and how that might impact the industry going forward. I think this could change a lot of things. So really excited to hear what you guys think about this big announcement. And, maybe drop a line on the forums, laundromatresource.com/forums. I'd love to hear what you think about this and the implications of this. And enjoy this episode and, be thinking about how does this change things for you as a laundromat owner or as a future laundromat owner? So let's jump into it with Mark and Alex. I'm excited to get into it with them. So let's jump into it. But real quick, before we do, I just also wanted to say that on June 6th, July 6th, 2023, when this, a couple weeks after this comes out, July 6th, we are going to do a live Q&A with these guys to talk both about laundromat franchises, pickup and delivery, answer questions about that, and then also to answer any questions about this big announcement that they have today. So if you want to join us on that live Q&A, check the link down below in the description if you're on YouTube, or in the show notes, which will be at laundromatresource.com/show 118. And make sure you get signed up for that Q&A. Come join us, come be a part of it, and bring your questions either about laundromat franchises, about pickup and delivery, or about this big announcement. All right, let's jump into it with Alex and Mark right now. All right, listen, this is an incredible thing because I am here with two legends, Mark Vlaskamp from the Folde, Alex Smereczniak, good luck spelling that, from Laundrolabs and To You Laundry. Guys, what is going on today? How you doing, Mark?
I'm good. Good to be back. Thanks for having us.
Oh, dude, what an honor for me to have you. And Alex, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Had a good weekend. Got to recharge, recover a little bit, and hit the ground running this week.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, hey, listen, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot going on. We've got some pretty cool breaking news to break here in a second. But just to get us started, and I know both of you guys are former podcast guests here, but just to get us started, why don't you guys give us a quick little background of you guys and how you guys got your start in this industry and where you're at now, and then we'll kind of go from there. You want to kick us off, Mark?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. We started as a delivery-only service. We went around to every laundromat owner in Austin asking if we could either do laundry in their facilities, or if they would wholesale for us and have their staff do it, and we'll pay them their retail price, because we really wanted to chase after the delivery laundry thing. We believed delivery laundry would be like delivery pizza in a couple of years. Every single one of them told us no. So some were mean, some were just rude. But anyways, that forced us to go build our own laundromats and buy laundromats. So we kind of got into this delivery first model of laundromat ownership, where we were primarily focusing on delivery. Scaled it pretty big for us. We were super proud of what we built, and then decided to open again in Austin and try it again. And that's where we are now. We've got two laundromats. They're big. They're monster laundromats. One's 7,500 square feet and one's 9,200, 9,500 square feet. Yeah, big boys. And
everything is bigger in Texas.
Yeah, kind of cliche.
Have you seen the gas stations?
Yeah,
I've heard.
Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
That's the comparison we make on phone interviews. It's like there's most people think laundromats are dumpy, small, unclean, unsafe. And the comparison we make is the gas station down the block compared to the Buc-ee's, and it gets them into the interview every time. They're curious to see what it looks like. So we piled laundry delivery into our laundromats as much as we could, and here we are.
Yeah. Awesome. And I mean, when you were getting started, how come everybody's telling you no, you couldn't do laundry in their laundromat?
I think it was not, they enjoyed it when we were bringing like a couple orders per day and maybe one or two people in. They got real sick of us moving in and taking over their entire laundromat. Eventually there was one really smart, really resourceful laundromat owner who said yes. We paid him a ton of money every month in vend price and ultimately acquired his laundromat for like a 8.2 multiple. The day after we closed, he showed up in a Porsche. Like that guy, I mean, he took a risk on us and he earned every penny that he made.
Yeah, dang, that's crazy. I remember, I think I shared this on the last time you were on the episode, but I remember you texted me a video of you had some guys unloading a truck full of laundry, and then you just started panning around and like there was laundry stacked on the sidewalks outside, and you took me in the laundromat and there was laundry all along the sides and all on the bulkhead stacked. There's laundry everywhere. It was insane. I was like, holy cow, this guy's killing it. Pretty wild.
Yeah, it's really cool to send videos like that, and then you end the recording and you realize you have to get it all done. Like the novelty wears off pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, it was great for me because I just got to watch it. I didn't have to actually process any of that laundry. It was pretty awesome. Alex, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get in this industry? I know you have a unique story. You've shared it on the podcast, but give us a quick overview of how you got into this business.
Yeah, I need lessons from Mark on how he condensed 6 years of blood, sweat, and tears and iteration into a 60-second overview like that, because I could talk about it all day. But very, very similar to Mark. Started in college, ran and sold a laundry and dry cleaning delivery business in college. Thought I was done with the industry, but I think like a lot of people, you get drawn back in and you want to figure it out and see if you can do it bigger and better than you did it before. Hated the existing models that were out there. I saw Washio, Rinse, a bunch of kind of West Coast or Silicon Valley backed startups, and thought, I don't think the model is right, and I'm going to hate myself if I turn 30, 40, 50 and don't go after it. And so at that point, our story becomes very similar to Mark's. We thought, let's start with just pickup and delivery. I'm actually looking out the window at our office and see the first laundromat we brought volume to. And similar to Mark, they loved it at first. They laughed us out the door and they said, yeah, if you guys bring us 1,000 pounds a week, we'll give you, a 40% discount. And you kind of snickered about it. Like they're never going to hit a couple 1,000 pounds a week. And we hit 2,000 pounds a week, I think a month in. I mean, we just were bringing them tons of volume right out of the gate. They renegotiated the contract 4 months in, and that started the revolving door of, laundromat operators that, I think wanted the volume, but eventually realized managing 10 to 15 employees is hard, and I don't really want to do that. And again, similar to Mark, realized we need to own our own stores. Ended up building a couple stores. It worked incredibly well. Then hit the next crossroads of, well, we need to build 100 of these. They're not cheap to build, and they're not, they're cheaper to buy, but still not inexpensive. And so, if we got to get 100 plus of these open, who's given us $100 million to go do it? And franchising became a viable path to get there. We get to handpick the operator. We get to make sure that they have industry or relevant experience, operational experience. They've got the liquidity and the capital to do it. And so we get to work with these awesome franchise partners that we're bringing into the industry that have good backgrounds and good experience and love the volume. They're saying, bring it on, bring 7 more vans if you can. So they have the right attitude out of the gate for us. And so stumbled into franchising, never thought we'd be here, 6-7 years ago when we started this, but have sold 108 licenses, have 9 stores open with 13 more stores opening this year. And, headed in the direction of trying to build a national brand in the space.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I mean, you should have just asked me for the 100 million. I probably should have handed it over to you. But I mean, if you want to go franchise,
you're going south of France instead.
That's right. I am. I'm taking off in like a week and a half, and I'm getting scared about it. Got an Ironman I'm doing down there too. So, yeah, dude. Okay, awesome. It's kind of funny that to have you guys here. 'Cause Alex, where are you at? Where are you located?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And Mark, where are you at?
Austin, Texas.
Yeah. So, okay, you guys are coming from 2 very different places. You've got 2 very different things going on. 2 very different kind of roles you guys have played in the industry here and in your own businesses. And having you both on this podcast, and it's kind of fun to do something like this because, obviously, we got to talk about why that is here in a second, but it's fun to have you guys here because you guys are both so experienced and so accomplished in what you guys have done. and to have you guys both on and be able to just kind of share a little bit about your experience and a little bit about your wisdom. And then we can kind of talk about, why you guys are both on here together. But real quick, I want to get into, why you're actually here in a second. But real quick, before we do that, can you give us one big piece of advice each on how you have achieved the success? Not even necessarily how somebody else can achieve it, but what if you had to attribute one, maybe two things to your success? I'm putting you on the spot here. I didn't prep these guys for this.
No kidding.
So I'm trying to talk a long time right now so you guys can think of something. But if you had to attribute your success to one, maybe two things, just for you personally in your business and your business model, can you pin it down to something like that? Either one of you guys?
Yeah, I think I'll give two. I know the question was one, but the first is pretty simple. Yeah, thank you. The first is pretty simple. Is don't quit. Don't quit. Just keep going. Just put your head down and keep going. It's not the most sound business advice, but it's what got us through everything, and we still use it today among me and my partners and all of our employees. So I think that's a pretty simple way to start. Second would be one thing that's really helped me is to document everything. The E-Myth entrepreneur book was huge for me. It's led to us documenting all of our processes. It's the only way we can delegate. It's the only way we can grow. And it's a trap I see a lot of laundromat owners fall into, is that they take the small and the small business too much to heart, and they just treat it like a kind of a boutique hobby. But it needs the infrastructure and the documentation and the SOPs to grow like a real business.
Yeah, I think that's really good, because the SOP, standard operating procedures, document everything, like that is not my strength at all. And so I recently hired an assistant in one of her jobs, and she's so good at it. I didn't even know how to kind of wrap my head around it. And she's already working on those suckers and getting those done just for my businesses that I have here, which is, and I can just see how, even just for my own, because a lot of that stuff for me lives in my own head. And I think for a lot of small business owners, you own 1-2 laundromats or 1-2 businesses or whatever, you can kind of keep a lot of that stuff up in your head. But once you're trying to shift, and that's what the E-Myth is all about, right? And I'll link to that book if you haven't read it. It's a must-read business book in my opinion. But that book is all about turning from, keeping your business as a job and turning it into a business, and how you do that, right? Now, standing operating procedures are part of that, so that you can get the stuff in your head down on paper, so that other people can start doing those things. You can focus on the things that are more important, which I know you have made that transition. That's a hard transition to make, but I know you've made that. You have good operators, in there doing that stuff for you now.
Yeah, you should see we get inbound customer support inquiries from other laundromat owners, and there's a ton of, do you franchise? Do you do coaching? Where can I learn about this? And it's just a quick reply that lists all the sources out, and you're firmly planted on that list. So
appreciate that.
Certainly a good way to show off how SOPs can, every little tiny question can be as detailed as we want.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. All right, Alex, Mark gave you a lot of time to think. What do you got?
My first one's identical to Mark. It's persistence is I guess summed up in one word. I can't remember if it was Steve Jobs or what, some aspirational, person who is a wildly successful entrepreneur has this quote about being a cockroach. And I think, the message behind it is just survive everything, survive anything, be a cockroach, don't give up, forget trying to be a unicorn, get through anything possible and it'll work out. Because I think through the adversity you face, the challenges you face, you just become stronger and better for it. And you're already going to be multiple steps ahead of anyone else, because a lot of people do just quit after the first no or the first challenge or the second no or the second challenge. But it takes, I think, someone with a lot of tenacity and grit, and again, just the willingness to persevere to make it far in anything, whether that's laundry, music, XYZ widget. You got to be persistent. And then the second piece, I think, would be curiosity. I think a lot of people get pretty stubborn and think they've got all the answers. They know exactly, they've got this plan in their head of how they're going to get from point A to point B. And then, God laughs or someone laughs, and your whole plan goes to shit. And those people are left trying to figure out, well, how do I make it work? How do I force it work? Versus being curious and saying, what went wrong? What did I get wrong? And having the humility to, again, go ask other people that have done it better for help, or take parts of another business model and adapt it to their own. And so Dan and I, from the beginning, have just been sponges. We'll go ask as many people as we can that have done what we're doing before, or similar components of it. Like franchising, for example, we knew nothing about. Within a month, we're talking to the guy that started 24-hour fitness, the family that started Sports Clips, and the guy that started Great Clips, and they're just all giving us an hour of their time, and that hour probably saved us years of mistakes or tens of thousands of dollars in issues, just because we had the one humility to know what we don't know, and then the curiosity to go ask for help.
Out of curiosity, how did you get in contact? I'm applying it right now. What do I talk about? You got to apply the things you learn on here. So here I am applying. How did you connect up with these franchise owners in order to get that hour that saved you?
The first one, the persistence. So we'd find them on LinkedIn. We'd find someone who knew them. And so we'd set our eyes on this target. We were like, this person knows what we need to know. And then we would just hit from every angle. We'd cold message them on LinkedIn with a really thoughtful message about, hey, we're just getting started. We'd love 30 minutes of your time. We're trying to learn from you. And then at the same time, that person was probably getting inbound emails from some second or third connection we found to them. So they're hearing about us 3, 4, 5 different places. And in their head, they're like, either this is serendipity or these guys really need to talk to me. And I love the hustle, and I'll give them 30 minutes just because they took the approach of bugging me from every angle they possibly could come up with.
That's huge. And that's a great lesson for all of us, right? Is, if you're seeing somebody who you need to connect with in order to help you propel you to the next level, whatever that is, buying your first laundromat, scaling your pickup and delivery, whatever that might be, that grit, that persistence, and, grit. I think Angela Duckworth, she wrote that. I hope that's right, because that's going to be embarrassing if it's not. But that's a great book. I'll link that one too. That's a great book. What talks about, how do you develop that grit, and that just the fact that both of you guys basically mentioned that and said that as a key to your success. I think it speaks volumes. I've heard tons of other successful people say exactly that too, right? Speaks volumes to that grit. And, when you have that grit and you're not going to quit, you're in it for the long haul, you're in it for the long game, then you can start layering on the other things like the standard operating procedures and all the systems and all that stuff, and layering on the curiosity and the desire to learn and grow and to continue to do that and all those things, right? And, when you have the time, because you're just not going to quit no matter what there's the saying, it's like you overestimate what you can do in a year, but you underestimate what you can do in 10, right? When you have that time, sky's the limit for you, right? You can get just about anywhere you want to get. So love that. Awesome. Okay. So, all right. So Mark, you came into this industry by starting a pickup and delivery business without a laundromat. By the way, you're also on my SOPs. I refer a lot of people over your way.
Yeah, I was going to say, you refer some persistent people too. They're quite persistent. I get back to them. I'm usually 7 to 10 business days, so you might want to add that to your referral link, but I do get back to them.
Yeah. Actually, just don't apply that to any of us, but apply it to, apply it to like Dave Menz and, just be persistent. All the other people over there, just, keep bugging them. No. Yeah. So you're coming in that way, right? Coming in through starting to pick up delivery without a laundromat. And then you've kind of grown into owning behemoth laundromats and a behemoth pickup and delivery business. And Alex, you kind of came in, I know, through you bought the pickup and delivery in college, started it?
We bought that, ran it, sold it, done with it. 2U Laundry. We started from scratch in Charlotte.
Right. Yeah. So you started in college and bought that business and then sold it and then started 2U and Laundrolab. Speaking of which, check this out. Damn, I'm rocking my Laundrolab shirt right now just to represent here. Yeah, this is good. If you're on the audio podcast, I'm wearing a Laundrolab shirt. That's what they're checking out. Totally different kind of starts into this business and different pathways. But let's talk about like your pathways intersected here and really intersected here recently, which we'll talk about. But can we talk about sort of the beginnings of this intersection and where it has led to for you two?
Yeah, Mark, do you want to share? I know Dan originally talked to you, so I actually don't have as much context as Mark has on it.
Sure. Yeah. I think the macro trend here is that how popular delivery got. Right? I think when we both started, delivery was like new and novel, and like you were lucky to get a couple customers. Maybe there was 1 or 2 people in town offering delivery. now most laundromats are offering that. So it was certainly a big macro trend in the industry, like nailed right place, right time. But yeah, early on, because there were so few people offering it, Dan, Alex's business partner, actually reached out to us as someone offering delivery, looked, moderately respectable from afar from the social media profiles, reached out. We talked about how we can work together. What can we do? And I think both sides had to look in the mirror and realize, like, we are broke. We are barely surviving day to day. There's like 6.5 days of runway left, and I'm doing all the laundry myself. So we tabled that. But both kind of simultaneously rode the delivery wave. I think that was one thing both companies got right is they had a hunch early on. They stuck to it, and they kept going to kind of ride that wave. Whereas there's a lot of people who've tried to fight it and are just now having a realization that's like, oh crap, I need to offer delivery or I'm toast.
Yeah. So your discussions with Alex's partner Dan started. That was like 3 years ago, you said?
Oh, at least. We were babies. Yeah, it was probably 5.
Mark didn't have a beard yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot more hair too. That's what delivery does to you.
All right. What would you rather have, hair or your pickup and delivery business, though? Come on.
Oh, I'll take the business. I'll take the business.
Talk about. So yeah, get rid of that hair. You don't need it. You got enough on your face. You're golden. Speaking of which, you should be glad. Both Alex and I should be glad we're not doing a beard poll right now, because although all three of us, I think, have pretty strong beards, it'd be tough to compete with us right now. It's looking pretty good.
Good. I'll take that. I'll take that.
Looking pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So that was like 3-5 years ago, something like that. So what about, when did paths kind of come back together? You mentioned, I think, before we hit the record button, that you guys were like sort of junior hires trying to figure out if you should date at that point or something, and figuring out neither one of you had a car. Kind of thought that was pretty funny. So when did you get into high school and get your licenses? How did this work?
So Mark and I both joined the board of the CLA around the same time as, just, I think, young, hungry, love the industry and want to see some positive change, and thought, could we go join that group and see if we can't impact some of that change? And I think, through him and I kind of commiserating through that experience of, joining the board, like, oh, this is a mountain to climb to try to help and fix things. Started to rekindle some of that conversation of like, is there a world where we could somehow work together someday? And what does that look like? Do we, combine forces? Do we just keep in touch or what? And I think really started kicking things off in January this past year. And Mark will blame it on our lawyers, but 6 months later led to us making the decision to make that official and join partners. 2U acquired the Fold, and Mark's coming on to join the team, and we're going to be, I think, more powerful and ready than ever to take on the task I think we both started out to do, and that's to build that national brand, to make delivery a household thing, just like having someone come cut your grass or hiring a babysitter to watch your kids. Why not get rid of laundry? It's the most hated household chore in the country, and I think with the two of us combined with the teams that we have and what we've built, are probably the best suited to go and make it happen and make it a reality. So that's the announcement. That's the big exciting thing to share, is the Fold and 2U are partnering up and taking on laundry pickup and delivery nationwide.
Dude, this is insanity. I mean, seriously, huge and insane, because, let's just put aside for a second here the fact that I have been saying for a long time that I think a lot of this stuff is going to consolidate. But now sort of the framework and the sort of the foundation of that happening here is starting to be laid here. And, I think the Fold, if it's not the most recognized pickup and delivery brand, then it's got to be up there, because I can't even think of any other ones that I would say are on par with the Fold. And the things that you guys have done with the pickup and delivery side of things is pretty incredible. So number one, congratulations to both of you guys. That's a huge kind of merger acquisition there. And so huge congrats to you guys for that. And number two, man, what a good partnership. And, in case you didn't listen to Alex's previous episode, number one, go back and listen to it. I'm going to link all of the episodes they've been on in case you want to go back and check them out, because both have incredible episodes. But Alex, can you give a quick rundown? So you're in the franchise model. So can you talk about how that works with pickup and delivery, especially now that you've acquired
Yeah, so again, similar to Mark's story, we were pure pickup and delivery, outsourced it all, realized, crap, we got to, vertically integrate, started building stores where we would layer the pickup and delivery on top of our laundromats, very similar to what Mark has with, the Fold and his stores in Austin and Houston. And then franchising really came out of COVID where we were doing it all corporately. We're going city by city and it was just pure trench warfare. It was, blocking and tackling like you wouldn't believe in one city after a time and one neighborhood at a time. And so franchising came as kind of another means to an end of, we can provide a really good package to franchise partners, significant discounts in equipment and materials across the board with various vendors. We can leverage all the technology we've built to provide value to those franchisees. But the big kicker, or one of the biggest kickers, was we can also provide additional revenue through pickup and delivery. We've got the model figured out. We've got really good economics. We know how to market to customers and acquire them on the pickup and delivery side. Again, very similar to what Mark and his team have built at the Fold. But then layer that on top of franchisees, and now they've got revenue, but we've got distribution. We can work with the franchise partners to make sure that they're cleaning it the right way, high levels of quality. They're staffed appropriately. They've got the best technology to keep track of everything and do it efficiently. And so when I look at the Fold and what Mark's doing, it's very similar to what we've done with 2U, and it's going to allow us to take all the knowledge that we've gained in our collective, him and I, 10, 15 years, but the rest of our team. There's been a lot of people focusing on this and going to bed thinking about it, waking up thinking about it, that we can take that knowledge, put it together, and layer that on top of our franchisees. So that's the way that the model works. If you're a Laundrolab franchise, you'll run a typical 4-wall operation, retail laundromat. 2U will then go acquire customers and then bring that volume to your store. We manage the vehicles, we manage the delivery, we manage customer support, we manage the marketing. All you've got to do is the franchise partners check those bags in, wash them, dry them, fold them. It's harder. I'm making it sound easier said than done, but we're taking a lot of that headache away from the franchise partner. We're sharing in it as true partners with our franchisees.
Yeah, pretty awesome. And I think that is. And we talked about this on our episode. One of my questions about franchising is like, okay, where's the value in the franchise, right? That's kind of been my longstanding question in that. And what I love about the way that you've set things up is that obviously there's a lot of value in you helping kind of set up the store, build out the store, and the relationships you've built in order to have some efficiencies in that, and all of that. But also kind of layered on top of that is there's built-in, essentially you have a built-in drop-off service, right? Because you guys are running the pickup and delivery side of things and just dropping it off. So you have a built-in drop-off service from the get-go, which is pretty awesome because that is easier said than done in terms of building that out from scratch. And so, when you can buy a franchise and not only benefit from the build out that you guys do and all the kind of collective wisdom and everything from what you guys are doing, but also can have a built-in drop-off service, from the get-go. That's pretty good value add. And in my mind, make much more sense to go the franchise route than just somebody buying a branded store.
Something that Mark and I and Dan and the rest of our team are incredibly excited about it, and it's kind of scary but exciting at the same time to think about, is there's so many regional and national other franchise concepts or Airbnb providers or micro hotels and these big brands that have a huge laundry need, but they don't want to deal with going market by market trying to negotiate a rate. And so they've already started approaching us and saying, hey, we can go to you to service Phoenix, Austin, Houston, Dallas, Charlotte, et cetera. And you're one account for us to handle all of our laundry needs in all those markets. And we haven't even really tapped into that fully yet. I mean, Mark's been helping out with it on the side as we were working through getting the deal done. But now that it's done and behind us, I think we're all ready kind of to be dogs off the leash and go get as many of those big national, regional, commercial accounts as possible.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I like that. Okay, so can we take it back a step? I mean, we've kind of danced around this, but just real quick, Alex, can you talk about the why? Like, what's the why? Why did you want to purchase a sort of pickup and delivery company, or what was the why behind that? And then why specifically the Fold did you end up purchasing?
Yeah, so I think, when Dan reached out a few years ago, we were just looking for other people that were like-minded and believed in this as big as we believed in it. And honestly, the probably one of one, or only option out there was Mark and his team and what they were doing. There's a few others out there, but that really, I think, resonated with how we thought about things were them. And then the second time around, we were looking at it like, okay, we've just raised this big Series B. We weren't trying to scratch an itch by any means, but we'd always stayed, relatively close to who was out there and what were people doing. And Mark and the Folde just kept coming back as this, hey, they're very similar to us. It only makes us, bolsters us, makes us stronger, more credible. And so the why, in a lot of ways, and I don't want to stroke Mark's ego too much, but was him as an individual. I mean, he's a phenomenal operator. It's the beard,
right?
You've seen how organized he is and how much he can do with leverage and creating automation and tools and resources and documentation. And has maintained that incredibly high caliber of ability to deliver on things throughout from the beginning. And so when him and I started talking on the board, that was a big reason was, Mark, it'd be awesome just to get to work with him. The business they've built is big. And I think that fits the second reason why it was just more leverage and credibility within the industry. I think a lot of times there's, the independent operator that is trying to figure it out, but they don't have a ton of resources or they don't have a ton of leverage with different vendors, whether that's equipment or supplies or you name it, even within the local municipality. And we looked at it as the bigger we get, the more leverage we have and the more that we can do for the industry and quote unquote, the little guy, the independent owner. And hopefully we can blaze some of that trail and make things a little bit more equal in that sense, the bigger that we get. So leverage was another one. And then lastly, for us, multi-city, multi-state operations. If our franchisees are going to have to do that at some point, many of them are buying 4 or 5 locations. Who are we to give them advice if we haven't done it ourselves? And so this gives us an opportunity to say, hey, we've got stores in North Carolina, stores in Texas, and here's the operational playbook on how to adequately manage them, whether you're remote or in the market doing it.
Awesome. So you guys are building out a playbook for those franchisees to just operate. Mark already kind of mentioned it, right? Building out the SOPs and all the systems and the automations and everything. Obviously is a core value, to you, and probably a good pickup on your part, Alex, to another, check mark in Mark's little profile there in terms of acquisition. Because, that's another sort of, one of the questions I get asked a lot of is, how do I automate this as much as possible? And how is it possible to run it, a couple hours away, all those questions. And so having that capability of having a playbook saying, look, we're in multiple places. Here's how you do it. Here's the equipment you need. Here are the tools you need. Here are the systems you need to follow. Here's how to train your employees, all of that stuff that you guys have already developed. Kind of a business in a box right there. It's pretty cool. Well, let me flip that question over to the other side. Cause Mark, you got a pretty good thing going with your pickup and delivery, and, you've got a lot of, you're, hanging out with Cody Sanchez and you got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. So, aside from the hair, which is the obvious, probably main reason that you wanted to partner with Alex, because his hair is looking let's just admit it. Your beard and his hair are like on.
That's the real merger here.
Yeah, that's the real merger. We could put that into one person. Oh my gosh. Maybe I'll around some little Photoshop for you guys.
Yeah, there's the cover photo.
No, but what caused you to be interested in this deal and in this partnership here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things we really liked about the team at 2U Laundry is they had a plan to scale this while keeping delivery in laundromats. I think as delivery keeps growing, right? We said how much it grew in the last 5 years. I think it's going to continue at that pace. I think there's a real threat for consolidation. These peer-to-peer models are popping up. Private commercial facilities are going to be popping up. So we wanted to continue to scale this, and we wanted to keep it in laundromats. So there's a huge plus on their model. Anecdotally, the software is bad to the bone, man. You reach a certain point where you really need high levels of automation and customization. They've got a whole product and tech team that's on top of it. And then the bootstrap nature of our business, we don't have HR, right? We don't have product. We don't have tech. We don't have marketing. We've got me and a couple virtual assistants. So the back office infrastructure that 2U has is really impressive. I think it complements us well. If we can stay focused on operating and just delivering service and growing, letting their back office handle the rest is super helpful for us. And it was a big part of the attraction. So I guess to summarize, I think they nailed the model. They've got an impressive franchise operation with impressive franchise operators that keeps laundry delivery and laundromats. And then just the team. They've scaled the team like crazy. They've got a department and a person for everything, which was totally new for us and totally exciting. You could really see how you can grow into this and actually become a national brand with the infrastructure he's built.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And everybody wants to kind of be a part of something bigger and something that's growing and making a big difference, right? So I think that's pretty awesome. Well,
that was that was kind of our predicament. And Alex hit on it earlier. Is like, all right, cool. Did it once. Cool. Did it twice. Like, we're just going to keep doing this slowly and steadily until we're 100 years old. And so that ability to scale fast and to scale nationally is huge. Everybody at our team, when we sent the announcement out, I'm talking everybody from my partners to the laundry folder that just got hired last week, right? Like, everybody is like, hey, change of plans. This thing's going national now, like, buckle up. And so we're really excited about that.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I'm getting a little envious here. So let me change that. No. So Alex, you acquired the Fold, and are you giving Mark the boot? What's the deal here? Are you getting rid of this sucker?
You heard me. I was like,
is he coming on board?
The number one reason that I mentioned was, getting to work with Mark and having him come on. You guys have heard him, or many listeners have probably heard him talk at different, industry events, or have heard of what they're doing. And I'm no different. I'm a fangirl too, and excited to have him come join the team and be a part of what we're building. I think it only adds, tremendously to our team and our ability. He's got something that I think we've lost like a year or so ago, and that's that ability to be incredibly scrappy, thoughtful. Because when Dan and I used to say constraint equals creativity. He mentioned he's been constrained on the size of his team, the resources, and excited for some of that mentality to come in, for him to think that way, but also have the resources if he needs to go after some moonshots or to go after, and be more aggressive about things. So Mark's coming on and joining the team, and as far as I can tell, I think he's sticking it out with us until we figure this thing out on a major scale.
Yeah, there's still a lot of laundromat owners that told me no 5 years ago that I'm going to get the last laugh on when this thing is in 50 states and we're launching an IPO. We got a long way to go. I'm not going anywhere. They were sharks negotiating my vacation time in the deal. So we closed the deal. I had a beer. And I went back to work the next day. So I'm not going anywhere. We're
going to Biloxi, Mississippi.
That's right. Hey,
paradise.
I'll meet you in Mississippi. Come on. I love that.
But on the tactical side, so I'm not going anywhere, but on the tactical side, like, over time, there are 2 brands, there are 2 softwares, there are 2 SOPs. There's going to be a lot of testing side by side, see what works best. The Fold is not a logo. The Fold is the workhorse mentality and the right way to do laundry. So while the logo might disappear over time, and the pink bags will get brought in and the navy blue bags will disappear, I think a lot of what we built is the X's and O's in the process. And I think a lot of those are going to stay. We're going to compare them all side by side. We're going to see what works best, see how we can complement each other, and really find one playbook for the path forward.
Yeah. That's a chore, right? That's bringing 2 organizations together, both of whom are finding a lot of success. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of overlap, right? But trying to whittle that down to the best model going forward. That's going to take some work, and especially the aspirations of, taking this thing national and maybe an IPO and, all that stuff. So that's a task. So you may not have this nailed out. I don't know, but Mark, what's your role kind of going forward? What are you going to be focusing on?
Yeah, that's funny, actually. So we took care of everybody else. There's like 50 plus employees, took care of everyone else. I think I was the last one to get a job offer, and I didn't really know what we were doing. I was testing the process. I'll be in the operations department working closely. A lot of my job for the next 6 to 12 months is integrating the 2 companies. They're both big companies with their set ways of doing things. And, they're still startups. So there's a lot of duct tape everywhere, figuring out where the duct tape is and what works best and how to connect them. So I'll fall under operations. They got a badass COO there, Dave, who I'll work with closely. But a big part of the next, foreseeable future for me is integrating the 2 companies and figuring out what that best playbook is.
I think I'll add to it too. I mean, like you guys have both called out, like the next 9 months probably is going to be all integration. I mean, I think the best way for all of us to learn each other is to stay close to it. And so Mark's going to be very close to the two integrating. But I mean, I keep going back to how just effective and awesome Mark is at just kind of problem solving. And so I see in the future, kind of Mark coming into this chief of staff type of role too, where he can bounce around and touch every part of the business because he's too effective and good at what he does to not be in a position to be able to impact and affect that kind of change.
I'm going wherever the corporate card takes me, Jordan. I finally, for the first time in my life, have a corporate card that I'm not personally guaranteeing.
Don't you feel like though that corporate card should take you and me to the Bahamas or something?
Yeah, there's got to be something. There's got to be something.
Strategy session or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, we'll talk offline and figure out where
we'll be very persistent.
The environment is important here. You know what I mean? It's important.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. That's all. That's dangerous. I don't know. I feel like this is like a situation where you give your 14-year-old a card, for the first time. And you're like,
I got an on and off button on this phone right here. So
yeah. Well, you better be quick with your thumb hovering over that thing because it doesn't take very long to make a bunch of charges on a credit card.
No, it's easy to joke about. I'm so used to being bootstrapped. I think it's going to be quite the opposite. They're going to have to shake me and be like, "Hey, it's okay. It's okay to spend $20 on a software subscription." Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome though. Yeah. Are you taking any trips out to Charlotte or are you going to Austin at all? What's the travel?
Yeah, there's been a bunch of back and forth. This thing's been going on since the Wash Dry Fold event, more or less last year, when it turned from an idea to kind of us both saying it out loud. But yeah, a couple of trips to Charlotte, a couple of trips to Austin, and then it's much more of a team than just me and him. So a lot of this is getting the teams back and forth, right? I've spent weeks in Austin with all sorts of people from his team, and we're going to be bringing my team up to Charlotte here any week now. So yeah, we kind of did the first visits one-on-one. But now it's about getting all of the staff and all of the team kind of combined and met up with each other in the different cities.
And are you guys both going to stay put in your areas, Charlotte and in Austin-ish area?
Yeah, there's so much laundry to do here. I mean, talk about two rapidly growing cities, but beautiful cities to live in. Yeah, no plans on that. Luckily, we're both quite good at scaling remotely. So I'd imagine there's a lot more travel in it for me than I'm historically used to with the Fold. But yeah, no plans on relocating yet.
COVID kind of accelerated, but our kind of mentality is find the absolute best people and make it work. And if they're in Seattle or Austin, I think it's the way that our world is now. And we got a big chunk of our team here in Charlotte, but we've got people all over the place.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. All right. We've talked about dude, this is crazy. This is so cool. I'm just so pumped about this because, obviously I like both of you guys individually as people. I have a lot of respect for what both of you guys have done. And to hear that you guys are kind of coming together, trying to make this is a big play, man. I mean, if we're just going to lay it on the table, this is a big play and this is very ambitious and you guys are putting yourselves out there and trying to do this for an industry that hasn't really made too many big plays in a really long time. So I am very excited for both of you guys and for the industry to see kind of how this plays out and what goes down with Laundrolab and 2U Laundry and having two, rock stars in this industry working together, trying to build something significant, for the industry. And real quick, I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, but I'm very excited because I know both of you guys, and even just the way you've been describing it today, you guys are very pro owner, and that's the core of me. And almost every complaint I have about this industry, and I've got a few, has to do with not being beneficial for the independent owner operator. Right. And so what I love about what you guys are doing is that you guys are pro owner here. And, obviously, you have a franchise model and that's your primary customer. But I think also what you're doing also benefits individual owners and operators just kind of in general by building something with a core value, something big that has a core value that is pro owner. And I feel like there's not a lot of pro owner things out there for us right now. So I'm very excited on all fronts for that.
I'm 100% pro owner, except for those couple banana heads that told us no early on. I'm not pro them for anything. But yeah, no, it's important like that. I mean, if I could flip the question on you, it's like demand for delivery is clearly here to stay. I don't know. Maybe some people think it's still a COVID phenomenon. How is that demand going to get filled? Like if you had to forecast 5 years out, is it a series of fragmented mom and pops? Is it a peer-to-peer model? Is it a large license model under one brand? Like there's a couple different plays here. And most of the time is what we're thinking about and trying to figure out. It's like, how is this demand going to get filled? And I think we saw this model and really think this is our shot to go capture it. But the demand is coming. And it's like, who's going to do this on a national scale?
Yeah. And the one thing I would disagree with you that you said earlier is you said, pickup and delivery has been growing pretty rapidly and you think it's going to continue to grow at the same pace. And I actually think it's going to grow quicker, right? I think there's so I'm not really disagreeing with you, but I think there's a little bit of a hockey stick thing that's going to happen once there's a core of business that's there. And I think then it's a short line to it becoming everywhere, ubiquitous. It's going to be all over the place once it gets enough steam kind of rolling. And we're still sort of pushing that boulder uphill a little bit. There's still education that needs to happen to get more people aware that this is even a possibility and that it makes sense. And for people to realize I don't have to spend my Saturday doing laundry or whatever, right? Like, but I think once that ball gets to a certain point, then it starts rolling downhill and it starts picking up steam pretty quickly. And I think you're right. And I do think that there's still going to be room for independent owner and operators to be able to do pickup and delivery service out of their laundromats. But I've been saying for a really long time, I think that this business is going to consolidate to one, maybe two, maybe three major players nationally. And I haven't really seen anybody else making a play for that. And so to see you guys kind of, by your powers combined, Captain Planet, coming together and trying to put that together. I love that. And it's putting it in the hands of independent owner and operators, right? People who are in the Laundrolab franchise system who own, Laundrolab franchises. So I love that. And I think you're right. I think the demand's going to be there. Got to be filled, and the timing is right now for it too. I think
I agree. It's going to be fun.
We just need the rest of the world to get in line and these rates to cool down a little bit and costs and things to cool down a little bit. But other than that, all the other pieces are there.
I know. Yeah. Well, that is an interesting wrinkle that all business owners and just people in general, I think, are just dealing with. With the high interest rates right now and trying to figure out, especially business wise, like trying to figure out how to make that all work with, building out laundromats, right? Like every piece of like what you guys are trying to do requires funding, right? And so that is an interesting puzzle piece right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But if that can kind of cooperate with you a little bit, it doesn't need to like cooperate a little bit, just like a little
just
bit,
a little bit
cooperating right now.
Right.
And make things easier. But dude, guys, this is super exciting. Put yourselves, to kind of close this thing out, put yourselves 5 years down the line from now. Where do you see this thing being in just a mere 5 years?
Yeah.
I think laundry.
No, you go for it. I was going to say you go first, then I'll piggyback.
Okay. I think delivery is going to be so common that my mom and her friends are all going to know about it. Right. I won't give a store count. I won't give a precise number of cities, but I think the customer demand is going to grow so fast that everybody is aware of this. And we're ready to be there with the infrastructure built to fill that demand. Yep.
And I'll piggyback with the specific store numbers and where we want to be. But I think to fill that demand, I mean, our goal is get to, in the next 5 years, like 200 to 300 stores open, 80 to 90% of those stores producing pickup and delivery volume. There's just going to be some markets that I think it's slower to get to, or they're smaller, or there's less demand. So we might not focus there first, but I think it's feasible in the realm of possibility to get to 200 plus stores open to fill all that demand that Mark's talking about.
That's pretty insane. And pretty awesome. I wrote down that pickup and delivery would be so common. My mom and her friends would know about it. I like that quote. I am so pumped for you guys. Again, congratulations for getting that deal solidified and hitting the ground running, drinking your beer and then showing up to work the next day, getting right after it. And what I'm hearing too from both of you guys is that this is not like okay, we made this, this acquisition and now we're just going to let it roll. This is hey, you're using it almost as a jumping off point to like, okay, now we're really start to ramp this thing up. And, to try to open 200 stores in the next few years is ambitious, to try to get to a level where your nationally known pickup and delivery brand is ambitious. And, I just cannot be more excited for you guys because of what you guys are building and also for you guys for being able to do it together, and could not be more jealous that I am over here on the West Coast having to watch this like through the window, like I'm at a zoo or something and seeing all the cool stuff, but super excited for you guys nonetheless.
Yeah, and what you built is really impressive. There's a reason that when this thing went through, Alex and I knew exactly where we were going to announce it, right? Like this is where I consume my Laundromat podcast. This is where I stay up to date with who's doing what, who the movers and shakers are. So super impressive what you built. And I'll date myself, but I remember early on when it wasn't all fancy and there weren't the who's who on here every week. So it's cool to see what you've done. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you saying that. And all right, so if somebody wants to get in contact with you, maybe they want to learn more about Laundrolab franchising, or they want to hear what hair products you wear, or if you use beard balm, what's the best way people can get in contact with you?
Yep. Yeah. So for Laundrolab, if you're interested in exploring laundromat franchises, you can head over to laundrolab.com. That's LAUNDROLAB.com. Or you can reach out to me directly at alex@2ulaundry.com. That's the number 2, the letter U, and then laundry.com.
Awesome. And I'll have the links and the email address and everything, all the contact information. It's only what it is because of guys like you coming on, sharing your experience, sharing your wisdom, sharing your stories. And man, I appreciate you guys, obviously, everybody else who's been on the podcast. And obviously, we're going to be doing more episodes together down the line because I want to know, at least if nobody else does, I want to know how things are going and, how much money Mark has spent on that corporate card, and we need hard numbers.
That joke's never going to die. Oh no.
It's great. And hey, if you guys are interested in hearing more about this, this acquisition and what the plans are kind of going forward, or if you want to learn more about Laundrolab franchising, or if you want to just learn some pickup and delivery, I think these guys are going to join us on like a Q&A. We'll do it live and you'll get to see the beard and the hair together. And you guys will get to chat with them and ask them questions in person. So join us for that. You can get a link to that down in the description if you're on YouTube or in the show notes. And guys, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show to drop this awesome bomb on us that you guys have joined forces, joined powers, and are going to start running amok in this industry and doing some big things. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Huge announcement. I think it's very cool what's happening right now. And I think when good people get together to do big things happen, and they are definitely movers and shakers. So huge thanks to Mark and Alex for jumping out with that here on the podcast and talking about it. Super cool to hear all about it. And don't forget, live Q&A is happening on July 6th. Make sure you get signed up. Again, show notes, laundromatresource.com/show118. Or if you're on YouTube, down below in the description. All right. We'll see you next week on the podcast. Peace.